I'm Danica Tormolin with Trade Show News Network, and I'm joined today by MCI's Jeff Moore, and we're going to talk a little bit about MCI USA adding voice to Jade's AI agent to improve event registration and their housing experience. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us about the big announcement.
So Jade is our AI customer service agent. We started with handling emails, moved on to chat, and we're about to release voice, which we're going to talk about today. So far, we've used Jade on 78 registration and housing events and over 100 lead events that we service for our customers. It's handled about 30,000 responses from attendees and exhibitors, and we keep detailed metrics that we report on pretty much daily. We've actually just recently also built in an AI supervisor that looks over all of the responses that Jade sends out, makes suggestions on additions to the knowledge bases that we need for each of the events so that it can answer more questions. But it also gives us a list of features that we should build into the product in the future. For example, if somebody asks to resend a visa letter and Jade doesn't have the ability to do that, it will recommend to us that we give it the ability to resend visa letters, for example.
Wow, that is so cool. That's exactly how AI is supposed to work, right? In the best case scenario.
Yeah, exactly. We were spending in the early days of Jade 2 years ago, we were spending a lot of time every day just going through every response, making sure it was accurate, making adjustments. But anything that's repetitive nowadays, AI is the perfect solution to automate.
That was one of my first questions. I'm glad you threw that out there. So it was launched last year, right, for the first
Right.
iteration. So since then, you've already done 78 events. Have you used it? Yeah,
Correct. Yeah, so
great.
78 registration and housing events, and then we actually
Okay.
started with our lead service for exhibitors, so your standard lead retrieval offering. We started with that because it was a simpler set of rules and knowledge that it could reply to. But now at this point, we've got it built directly into the mobile app, so exhibitors can chat with it directly from the app. They can get in-app support. It knows how to use the app, so it can give suggestions if somebody's like, I can't figure out how to download my leads, or how do I add additional collateral. It has full access to the user guide and can walk them through it.
So let's step back a little bit. Talk to us a little bit about the pain points in event registration and housing process that led you to develop these voice capabilities for the Jade AI agent. That's a mouthful.
I think it's always important to start with the data. So when AI first started getting big at the release of ChatGPT 3, I think it was in November of 22, everybody was scrambling to say, how can we use this? How can we apply this to our business? And there's two ways to look at it. You can look at it from the perspective of, can this generate revenue for me? Or can this make me more efficient, or my employees more efficient at what we do? So we started looking at our time tracking data, looked at the categories of time people were logging things against, and we noticed across a variety of departments that we were spending a lot of time answering emails for attendees and exhibitors. So from there, what we started to do is look at specific inboxes for events, and we would use AI to analyze the inbox and say, what are the most common types of requests that are coming in? And from that, we built the idea that there are a lot of repetitive questions that could come in. A lot of them are just what you would consider more traditional chatbot type things, which referencing a knowledge base and regurgitating answers from an FAQ. But a lot of them were questions that required updating of data in some system, either a registration record, a reservation, in a booking, or even things like in an AMS, an association management system, maybe updating member information, renewing a expired subscription, that sort of things. So that gave us the roadmap for Jade internally, how we were going to use it to automate customer service for our clients and for our own lead retrieval services.
And people, I'm assuming, really like the idea of voice, right? It makes it so much easier if you can just ask versus like type out a question, right?
Yeah, exactly. The email and chat work great, but sometimes you want an answer immediately. And one of the very interesting features of Jade that we built in, if you're accessing it in the context of a registration page, and I'll give you a demo of this shortly, Jade can see the page. So if you're filling out your registration form and maybe you miss a required field, or you've submitted your payment and get an error processing the payment, Jade can see that problem and help you troubleshoot it in real time. So the goal is to fix the problem before the attendee or exhibitor feels like they need to reach out to customer service for help.
Yeah, we'll walk through a demo. Should we just do that? Let's go walk through a demo and then we'll jump back to some of the questions. I want to see it in action because I haven't used it. I haven't had the opportunity like any of the shows that I've gone to so far. I'm not in one of those 78 events, so I'd love to take a look at it.
Yeah. Okay. Let me give you a preview of it. All right. I will preface this with saying, yeah, I've done a number of these demos over conference tools, and the fact that the conference tools take over the microphone and do some of their own sound filtering and stuff, it can get a little weird, but we'll see how it goes.
Okay, sounds good.
This part, I'm gonna take this off screen real quick to log in. So I'm logged into a registration. You can see my agenda, some actions we can take here. And typically we'll have Jade front and center. It'll either be in the footer or it'll be in a little bubble. I'm going to launch it from down here. And typically we'll launch it in chat mode, but we can go directly into voice. What I'm going to do is just go ahead and launch voice, and I'll give you kind of some example use cases of how somebody might ask Jade questions.
Hi there. How can I help you today?
What can you tell me about the Sustainability Expo?
The Sustainability Expo is being held at McCormick Place in Chicago. It starts on May 13th, 2026, and ends on May 17th, 2026. If you have specific questions about the event, feel free to ask.
Can you tell me what my registration type is?
Your registration type is booth staff. Let me know if you need more details or have other questions.
Can you tell me if I have a balance due?
You don't have any balance due. Everything is fully paid. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like to check or update.
Can you see my registration page right now? I'm in the process of registering.
You must not have heard you.
Sure, I can help with that. What details would you like to update on your contact information? You can let me know if there's a new email, phone number, or address you'd like to use.
Can you update my name from Jeffrey to Jeff Rowe, Jeffro?
I've updated your first name to Jeffro. Would you like me to send you a confirmation email with the updated information?
Yes, please do.
I've sent a confirmation email with your updated name. Let me know if you need help with anything else.
That's everything. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great day and feel free to reach out if you have any more questions.
So that's the idea.
Excellent. I see how it's updated the spelling of your name and then sent you an email. So I guess my question then, so it on the back end, obviously, it's then going to update that throughout all of the systems for the show.
Yep, exactly. It'll update the database directly. It knew who I was because I was already logged into the registration site. And so we do similar things in email confirmations. So we'll send them a link directly to Jade and pass the necessary information to log the person in. Now, if you're coming in authenticated or from like an event website where you're not logged in, it will ask you for your confirmation number or your reservation number, something that only the registrant or occupant would know. But if they don't have that, we offer a one-time passcode functionality. So Jade will locate the record through other means, either by name or email address, and it can send a one-time passcode to the email on file. Then you simply reply with it verbally or type it into the chat, and then you're authorizing Jade to make updates to your record.
So before it was a chat only feature, and now we've added the voice, right?
Correct. Email first, then chat, and then voice.
Okay, what's next after that?
So we're continuing to add what we call actions or functions that Jade can take. For example, we just in the last 6 months added some housing support so it can look up available inventory at various hotels. It can tell them rates for the various room nights. It can resend reservation confirmations. It can update reservations. If you want to change your dates or change any of the details about your reservation, Jade can do that. But the next big area, as far as customer service goes, Jade does a number of other things too, which I'd love to talk to you about sometime. But staying focused on customer service, the next big area is expanding into the AMS side of things. So allowing Jade to provide membership service support as well. This is something when we pitch Jade for event customer service to our customers who are mostly in the trade show association space, they're like, oh, wow, this would be great to handle all the requests that I get from my members, because they usually handle those in-house versus outsourcing them. The way Jade works is it's a first line of defense. So if you think of a funnel, everything goes through Jade first, and we work with our customers to define the rules about what can Jade do, what do you want to be escalated to a human to handle. So those are usually more either complex things like handling large groups or handling anything that might put somebody in a balance due or a refund due status. Customers like to have somebody look at that first before they make a decision on whether or not can handle that. But Jade can do that if they want it to. So when you think about that funnel, everything goes through Jade, and then the select few things that come out the other side are the things that either go to the client to handle or go to our customer service team to handle. So for example, across all of our events over the last 30 days, Jade was able to handle and resolve 66% of the interactions that came through. That includes emails, chats, and in the future voice. And that's for registration and housing events. On our lead services side, Jade's able to handle 82% of the interactions that come in. So that really frees up our team to go talk to exhibitors, sell, and pay attention to the important things.
That is fascinating. When you quantify those numbers at that 66 and 82%, can you guesstimate how much time that has saved your team, like at man-hour wise?
That's a difficult question. I think you can extrapolate a little bit, but what we see, and again, we log everything. What we see is that Jade, on average, responds within 24 seconds to email or chat. Obviously, with voice, it's a little bit more immediate. Some things are a little bit longer running, like when we asked if it could see the registration page, but I think in elapsed time, it's saving many hours in terms of what the attendee sees or the exhibitor sees. So you fire off an email to customer service, you don't know when you're going to hear back. A lot of places have policies, I'll get back within 24 or 48 hours. That's double the time. 24 seconds is a much better turnaround time. So for things where getting the answer quickly is important, I think Jade is great for that. And all of that results in our people who obviously we still need some white glove treatment. We want to handle VIPs differently, et cetera. That frees up our people to focus on those in more important interactions.
Sure, definitely. Do you track, let's say, the last event you did? What's the average of attendee usage of it? Do you track that at all? I'm asking you this because I'm curious about awareness, usage. I'm just thinking about adoption and making sure your attendees and exhibitors are aware that they can use it and they are using it.
That's a great question. Education is definitely key, making sure our customers know for their customers. So our customers are typically the show organizers and their customers being their exhibitors and attendees, making sure that they know it's available, educating at that top level, and then making sure that it's available and easy to use through the methods in which we're interacting with our customers. So that's going to be your registration sites, your housing sites, the email confirmations, making it front and center. There's a little bit of marketing to it, but when you think about the experience of, okay, I'm registered for an event and I need something, I'll go find my email confirmation, or I'll go back to the website that which I registered. Making it easy for them to find the ability to contact us is, I think, the key part of that. After that, it's not a new process necessarily. Asking for help is not a new process for most attendees and exhibitors. So it's just hooking into that existing process.
Having them, again, know where it is or easy to find for them. Yeah. I noticed that you support 57 languages. That's pretty cool that you can do that. So tell us about approaching that from a development perspective.
I think the short answer is we build on the shoulders of giants. Companies like XAI, OpenAI, Google, Anthropic. They're the ones that build the core of these, almost every AI system that you see out there today. Tackling 57 languages would be a large task, but we're going to rely on the multi-billion-dollar companies to invest and do that. When it comes to how we apply that to our customers, MCI is a global company with our headquarters in Geneva, so having all those languages available is critical. I think what you'll see is support for the less common languages. They rate them in percentages: English 99% accurate, Spanish 99% accurate. Some of the lesser languages will be maybe little less accurate or less supported, but I think with 57 languages, we're going to cover most of our user base globally, which is great.
What about the data privacy aspect? What measures and security do you have in place for this added feature of voice?
Data privacy is always upfront and foremost the most important thing that we're working on. Being headquartered out of Geneva, we apply data privacy globally the same way. So we take the most strict process and apply it to not only EU residents, but US residents anywhere in the world. We make sure that no data is used for training models. We make sure the data is only stored for the amount of time that is needed to service the request. And then we have all the proper data processing agreements, both with our sub-processors and with our customers, so that they know exactly how their data is going to be used, because our customers are typically the data controllers and we're just the data processor. So we only do what they tell us we're allowed to do. But we also make it as transparent as possible to the attendees so that they can choose not to use a service or not share their data in a certain way if they choose not to, or if they have used it in the past, that they have the right to be forgotten.
Got it. You gave me some great numbers overall. Is there any specific examples that you can share, maybe like a case study or an example from an event? You don't even have to name the event if you talk about it at a high level. Maybe one that is a great example of it working well.
So because of most of our interactions are with the individuals, and when it comes to customer service, as a service to our customers, it's like, when you don't hear about it, it's going great. But if people are complaining, that's when you get involved. But one of my favorite stories is when we first enabled Jade in March of 24. It was for email support for our own lead retrieval services. We were all actually in Rome for a company meeting, and it was after hours on a Friday night. But we got word from the developers. It was good to deploy. We were going to put it out there and monitor the situation, if you will. Within a few minutes of going live on production, the first email came in, and I think it was like at 7 p.m. Eastern. Somebody needed help getting their access code to get into order lead retrieval for an event. Jade responded in 15 seconds. The user followed up with 2 other questions, but within a matter of 5 minutes at 7:05 p.m. on a Friday night where nobody would have answered it, this person got their results, could move on with what they wanted to do, and we didn't have to do any of it. So we were all sitting around a dinner table watching it, refreshing the page as the replies came in. And it's funny, even though we put a tagline in the bottom of all the responses saying that this is AI, this is automatically generated, we give people like an escape hatch if they're stuck, or we have some other metrics like if the thread is going on too long or there's too many replies, we'll automatically escalate it so that they can get the help that they need. Even though we put all that information in there, people will talk to Jade. It's a real person, thank it, say, have a great weekend and things like that. That's always a good touch when you know that they're not even noticing that they're not talking to a human.
That's a great example. Thanks for sharing that. And I would think that, yes, that's a need for attendees and exhibitors. When they want information, they want it right then. And a lot of times, I'm guessing that is after hours. Yes, we do work on events during normal hours, but I know I personally do a lot of stuff with events after hours, like checking things and figuring out, am I registered? Did I do this? Yeah. So saving that time. Do you track when questions are being asked, like during normal business hours versus after hours?
Yeah, we have all those metrics. I couldn't tell you exactly what the percentage breakdown is between on hours versus after hours, but like lead retrieval, for example, when it moved from everything being a rental device that the person didn't own to people downloading app on their own phone, we were very surprised at how many leads were captured outside of show floor hours. And I think we see a similar thing with customer service. we have our core hours, and anything that comes in after that gets answered the next day. But now we can essentially offer 24/7 customer support to a certain degree and in all the languages with near immediate responses. That's a big win over the more traditional customer service methods.
How do you see AI voice agents like Jade changing the landscape of event management? If you look at a broader view, since you're an expert in this area, so tell us what you think there.
I think across all industries, we're going to see customer service in general at the basic level move to AI. I think the benefit for the user is there. I think the benefit for the customers or the companies providing the service that requires customer service is there. And I think what we're offering with Jade is just going to be table stakes. It'll be expected for every service.
Now, a next step, as more and more event tech companies incorporate AI, what makes Jade's approach different than maybe some other of your competitors out there?
I think the biggest difference is they don't have Jade right now. There are a couple third parties, meaning not registration and housing providers, offering various chat tools, voice tools, but we're definitely the first in our industry to embrace it and show our customers that this is the way to go and it's a better experience. In the end, like I was saying, I think it will be just commonplace. Everybody will have it, but I think with MCI always willing to embrace the cutting edge technology, we'll have moved on to the next big thing.
Okay, I have one more question for you. Since you did launch it last March, and I'm sure you've had iterations and learnings over the last over a year now, what maybe is one of the biggest learnings that you've had or surprises along the way in developing this tool and continuing to, with the email, with the chatbot, now with voice?
So Jade offers a variety of services, customer service just being one component. It's a large component, but it's one component. But we also do data analysis using Jade. We do automatic lead scoring in the app where we take all the attendees' interest and the exhibitors' interest and generate a score and a quantitative and qualitative description of that lead. We are working on Jade for event setup and testing. We recently completed an experiment where we took a requirements document like we would get from one of our clients that kind of defines the event, defines what type of registration paths are. I got attendee, I got exhibitor, I got speaker. Here's my list of sessions. Here's my list of speakers. Here's my discount codes. We gave Jade that requirements document, allowed it access to a sandbox environment, and Jade was able to set up the entire event by itself without a human being involved. So when we talk about the next big things for Jade, there will definitely be improvements to customer service, but I think the other aspects of Jade are going to be some of the more interesting ones.
Being able to do some tasks for not only your team, but for the show organizer on the back end as well, beyond customer service.
Even as a development team, the coding tools that we use, all of our developers use AI assistance in coding. So reviewing code, building out scaffolding code. But until now, it's been, you always have to have kind of a senior developer look at what has been produced, make changes, approve it, et cetera. But I think by the end of the year, we'll be at the point where we can deploy AI developers in the sense that we get a ticket that comes in from a customer, they have a change that they need to a website. We'll be able to assign it to one of the AI developers. It'll complete the task and put it in testing, use AI to test the website. So we've also done agents where we built the site and we say, hey, here's all the requirements that the client gave us. Here's the site. Tell us what we missed. And it'll walk through the site like a human, click on the things, fill out the fields, and then the whole time it's looking at the requirements and say, oh, this member rate is supposed to be $50 instead of the 75 I see. So it'll log that, and then our team will go in and know how to fix it. But eventually it's going to be AI setting up the site, AI testing the site, AI deploying the site, AI developing all the customizations. It's going to get here a lot faster than most people think.
And then what are you going to do?
So yeah, that's what everybody asks.
Yeah, right.
When there's no jobs, but we're still a while out. I think it's very important for the events industry in that there's a lot of different types of events, from enthusiast events to business events, et cetera. But the key thread through all of it is human connection. And if we do get to the age of abundance where nobody has to work anymore, there's still going to be events where people get together just to see each other. And getting to that utopia is exciting.
Yeah, it sure is. I'm curious about your response from you live and breathe this, right? Every day. So you are probably well ahead of some perhaps show organizers themselves, right? Especially maybe some associations, some smaller groups where it's a mom and pop shop, right? So, talk about some of the responses from the show organizers using these tools, and then maybe even like pointing out, like, oh, you missed this. What do you want to do about that? I can't imagine what some of their responses have been.
I think it's easiest to talk about the results versus the technology and how you got there. So when you talk about customer service and you say, yeah, we respond within 24 seconds of every request that comes in, that sets off a light bulb in most customers' minds. It's not, you don't lead with the, oh, it's AI and whatever, because people have certain stigmas about AI or automation or removing the human element of things, especially events. So I think when you start with the output, the outcome, the value, I think it's a much easier sell. And honestly, Jade for customer service is one of the easier sells when it comes to AI because the value is apparent and it's quantifiable and people can see it immediately. And then once you get them into the ecosystem of what we're offering, then they start getting interested in, oh, data analysis. Our data analysis tool is not like traditional reporting. It's not a spreadsheet that you get weekly. It's a interface for what we call talking to your data. You can say, hey, tell me any trends over the last week from my registration data. And I'll say, we've seen a 10% increase in members registering based on this email campaign. You can ask complex questions like, build me a persona of the type of attendee who's most likely to engage with my exhibitors. And Jade will go back and look at the lead data. It'll look at all the demographic properties of those people, build a persona that then our customers can use to, if they want to increase the attendance for that type of person, they can take that persona and overlay it over the entire membership record and say, hey, whoever's not coming to my event, let's target these people. And then Jay can also help them build those campaigns and make suggestions of you should do a 3 email campaign spread over this period of time with this content. The whole ecosystem provides a lot of value, but you're right, it's getting people comfortable with using it and seeing the value that kind of opens them up to the rest of the value propositions for Jade.
That's super fascinating that they can talk to the data that way too. That's really interesting. So once they buy the Jade bundle, is all that included? That AI voice agent, being able to ask it all those questions, things like that. Is that how it works?
Typically, that's how we'll bundle it for our registration and housing customers. It's you use MCI, you get it all. But we also do
Okay.
various like customer service only projects or integration only or data analysis only projects for not just existing customers, prospects that are with other registration and housing vendors. Jade is very agnostic in that it doesn't just work with MCI's core One System Plus. It will work with any registration, housing, AMS system out there.
Thank you so much for your time today, Jeff. I really appreciate it. This was a really interesting conversation, and congrats on the new launch.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.